a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. In a major security breach coming on the day of the 2001 Parliament attack anniversary, two men entered inside Lok Sabha and they opened the canisters, which emitted a yellow smoke. Now, this incident happened somewhere around the afternoon, I'm told, I think during the 0 hour. And this obviously led to a lot of mayhem inside the house. Now, two people have been detained by the Delhi police. One is a lady, about 42 years old. Her name is Neelam. And a man called Amol Shinde, about 25 years old. Now, a Lok Sabha pass has also been recovered. And this apparently has been issued by the BJP MP of Mysuru, that is Pratap Sinha. Now, this incident raises serious questions as to how this kind of a breach could happen when multiple levels of security checks exist inside Parliament. And it also raises the safety issues about the new Parliament building as well. Joining me now is Lok Sabha MP, Karthi Chidambaram, Congress leader. Thank you so much, Karthi, for joining. We have Dola Sen, TMC Rajya Sabha MP, also joining us. Thank you, ma'am, so much for joining. We have Pushpraj Deshpande, Director, Samrit Bharat Foundation, and TK Rajlakshmi, Deputy Editor of the Frontline. Thank you so much. Pushpraj, welcome on the program. And Puneet, Senior Editor with the Federal. Thank you so much, Puneet. And let me begin with Karthi. Karthi, you were present inside the Lok Sabha when this incident happened. I really want to hear from you as to what did you witness and what time exactly this incident happened?
It was around 1 o'clock. 0 hour was going on. I was slated to speak, so I was awaiting my turn. I heard a loud thud emanating from the left side of where I was sitting, directly opposite the speaker. Then I saw somebody fall down. I thought it might have been an accident. But then when he fell down, he started rushing towards the speaker, jumping over the members' seats. And many members rushed towards him. So did I rush towards him. But he was overpowered by the members in that area. At that time, he pulled out a canister, which emanated a yellow smoke. While this was happening, another chap jumped down from the visitors' gallery. He pulled out a canister too, which gave out an yellow smoke. As I said, this yellow smoke it was inert, thank God, but it could have been toxic, it could have been sarin, it could have been anthrax, it could have been flammable, and then the consequences would have been very, very tragic. Right. This is a serious security breach. I mean, the security protocol, the efficacy of the security in the Parliament is much to be desired, and the response of the staff there was also, in my opinion, slow and sloppy.
But what are the kinds of, like, you all go to Parliament every day. Now, what is the kind of system of checks which exist when it comes to...
We go through the members' entrance. We go through the members' entrance and we are biometrically screened into the building. And the staff know who the members are. But the visitors come through a completely different entrance. And when they come in, they're not even allowed to bring in mobile phones. They're scanned, they're physically frisked. Their IDs are checked before the passes are given. Only then they come in. So the real problem is in the scanning and the frisking aspect of the security. And also, when they were in the visitors' gallery, there are marshals in the visitors' gallery. And I do not know how the marshals didn't spot somebody attempting to jump. I mean, they obviously attempted and succeeded in jumping. So I do not know what the marshals there were doing. So the real security lapse lies with the Delhi police and the CRPF, who are responsible for all these aspects, which are all central government agencies.
All around the social media, there are visuals of some protesters also who are raising slogans like Samvidhan Bachao, Tanashahi Nahi Chalegi. Now, were these protesters who were...
I don't know what these two intruders were sloganeering. It was not in a language I understood, so I really have no idea. Anyway, in the melee, nobody made out what they were trying to say. I'm not aware of the incidents happening outside the Parliament. I was only witness to what was happening inside the Lok Sabha because I was in the Lok Sabha myself.
All right. Dola ma'am, what do you really have to say about the safety of this new Parliament building? Puneet and myself, we were discussing just a short while back, and he was telling us that during the special session of the Parliament, many leaders raised this issue about the safety of, and especially of the people who are coming to the visitors' gallery. Now, how safe is this new Parliament building? Thank God that the smoke was not toxic. There was not a major incident which happened, but anything could have happened today.
3-4 things I will tell. One, I am from trade union for the last 30 years. So from trade union point of view, I narrated the new parliament building compared to the old one. That the old parliament building, the traditional, the aesthetic parliament building was like the industrialist, quote unquote. And the new parliament building, don't take it otherwise, but it's like Bania. You know the difference, no? From the trade union point of view, we know the difference. So it's the difference between the old and the new parliament one. And unnecessarily, after COVID, at this financial crunch juncture, unnecessarily मोदी जी आपकी घमंड के लिए, उनको नाम रोशन करने के लिए ये न्यू पार्लियामेंट किया. अभी करने का कोई जरूरत नहीं था. ओल्ड पार्लियामेंट अच्छा था, ठीक था. और वो ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट तरह ओल्ड पार्लियामेंट इतना बड़ा था, तो विजिटर्स गैलरी भी बहुत ऊंचा था. उधर से उतरना, झाप देना उतना सहज की असंभव है. लेकिन ये तो बहुत बनिया की तरह है, छोटा मोटा चीज है, तो उधर से उतना हाइट भी नहीं है, तो जो कोई भी वो जंप कर सकते हैं. और आज तो करके दिखा दिया कि कर सकते हैं. क्योंकि आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस 75 इयर्स तक पुराना बिल्डिंग में कोई इसी तरह का इंसिडेंट नहीं हुआ. इंडिपेंडेंस के पहले भगत सिंह जी ने जो किया था, उन्होंने बोला हम टेरराइज करने के लिए किया, लेकिन वो भी जंप नहीं था ऊपर से. वो टेरराइज करने के लिए स्लोगन शाउट किया और कुछ किया भगत सिंह इंडिपेंडेंस मूवमेंट के पक्ष से. लेकिन आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस दिस इज द अनप्रेसिडेंटेड फर्स्ट हैपनिंग ever we have seen in parliament, and it's the total ऐसे कार्तिक जी बोल रहे थे, दिल्ली पुलिस, CISF, parliament security, parliament administration, new parliament buildings, responsibility, everything goes with is lying with the Modi ji central government. Right. It's Amit Shah's home ministry. So responsibilities are completely with Modi ji and Amit Shah ji.
Right. I also heard
third thing I want to clarify. Just last week, few days back, 4-5 days back, our honorable MP Mahua Moitra ji has been expelled from parliament because severe security breach, because she was accused to share her email ID and password with someone else. But see, the BJP MP Pratap Simha from Mysore or from Karnataka, who has a very close snap with our honorable Prime Minister Modi ji also. I can share, I have already shared with you the photographs. Pratap Simha, BJP MP, introduced this Rajesh Sharma and the other one to be in the visitor gallery. So whether it is not a security breach, and that may be toxic, that may be tear gas, that may be anything else. But the person may fall down over an MP.
Right.
He or she may be buzurg. Maybe a fatal thing may also be happen over there.
Right. But
whether it's not the security breach. So how afterwards BJP and the Treasury bench and Modi ji's government laid the parliament on Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha? Why didn't they discontinue? Why didn't they expel the Pratap Simha for this security breach?
No, you have.
Where is the ethics committee of BJP? I want to know.
Yeah, Dola ma'am, you have a point in what you say, but what I'm trying to ask you is that I heard Raghav Chadda on a television channel. He's saying that there should be an all-party meeting which should be called. It's a serious issue. So how are you going to take this issue forward since the parliament is already in session?
Listen, the opposition, the India Alliance, they will meet and discuss. We will have all-party meeting. We may go to president also. It's a severe issue, severe security breach inside the parliament never ever happened after independence.
Right.
So we must go to Honorable President also.
All right.
So we will organize our all party, we will organize our India alliance, we will organize our opposition alliance meeting, and we will forward.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. I know you're in a hurry, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Now,
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'll come to Puneet now. Puneet, when we were discussing on the phone, you did mention a very important point, and I think which is very significant, that during the special session of Parliament, there were MPs like Priyanka Chaturvedi who had raised this safety issue. But despite all those alarms, there seems to be no action from the government side as to take care of the security. And now you have these intruders walking inside the house with smoke canisters.
That's right, Neelu. You see, for those who are not familiar with the structure of Parliament, or the entry points, etc., I think one thing that needs to be made clear is that there are supposed to be separate entry points for members of Parliament, for visitors. And there are separate security protocols. Like Karthi was saying, that when a member of Parliament enters, they enter through a different gate, and they have their biometrics, which are scanned. For visitors, there's a separate protocol, the visitor pass, etc., and a separate entry. Even for journalists, there's a separate system. You need a journalist, a press pass that allows you, and of course, those have gone down considerably over the last few years. But in this new Parliament, when they moved to this new Parliament during the special session, even at that point in time, there were members of Parliament who had raised this issue, of course, all from the opposition. So unfortunately, what they say or what they criticize is never really given much attention by the government. But there had been, even at that point, MPs cautioning about a possible security breach, about the protocols not being in place. There were instances which continue even in the current session of visitors crowding even the gates that are supposed to be exclusively used by members of Parliament and not by the visitors. Crowding there, taking selfies, taking photographs, etc.
And whereas this was not the case in the old building, I remember.
That's right. The other thing that was raised during the special session, and I believe Priyanka Chaturvedi had also written a letter in this regard to the Rajya Sabha chairman, Jaya Bachchan, I remember raising this issue on the floor of the House, of how members coming, the guests coming to the visitors gallery would raise slogans, and they would hoot, and it was all recorded. It's there on in the Parliament records. If you even on I'm sure on videos of when members from the opposition benches were speaking, raising slogans of Modi, Modi, just like, of course, members of the BJP do on the floor of the House. And at that point, also, the opposition had said that there needs to be protocols. You cannot have members coming into the, groups of people backed by political parties coming into the visitors gallery, raising slogans like this, heckling members from the opposition, hooting when they are speaking. And quite evidently, none of that was ever taken into account. What happened today, again, is a more severe manifestation of that breach. And as Karthi was pointing out, you are supposed to have marshals, not just in the House, but also at the visitors gallery. So what were those marshals doing when these two people, got up and jumped into the House from the gallery? And if I may just make one correction in what you were saying, there were two separate instances of security breach today. One that happened inside Parliament, in which two people were detained, and one that happened outside Parliament, but within the near the complex, where again there were two people who have been detained, who came with canisters, and who raised those slogans. So there were two separate instances of security breach on the same day, which also happens to be the anniversary of the 2001 Parliament attack. And the fact that at least in one particular case, in the case of Sagar Sharma, who's one of the people who've been apprehended and detained, we know that the pass that he was carrying for the visitors gallery had Pratap Simha's name on it. It is, of course, a matter of investigation, whether the pass was genuine, whether it was fake, whether Pratap Simha personally knew Sagar Sharma or not. We don't know. So I wouldn't want to comment on that. But the very fact that Pratap Simha, who himself is a very vocal leader, and if you see him on social media, he's everywhere. He is one of those, and of course he's one of the BJP's infamous rabble rousers also. We've not heard him say a single word ever since this happened. There's been no comment from the BJP on what they intend to do with Pratap Simha, whether they've asked him for an explanation. There's been no comment from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. There's been no comment from the presiding officers of both houses. And in the Rajya Sabha, I was not there in the Lok Sabha, so I wouldn't be privy to what was happening in that house. So I've just recapped what I've heard. But in the Rajya Sabha, after this episode happened, you had the opposition demanding for a discussion on the security arrangements for new parliament. And the manner in which the presiding officer, the chairman of the house, dealt with those demands was absolutely shocking. He just said that, instead of saying that this is a very serious issue, or saying that, okay, we can have we can consider a discussion, none of that. He simply said, do not monetize this politically. A breach of security in Parliament is not merely an issue of politicking. It's something that not just the opposition, but the treasury benches and the presiding officers and everybody needs to take seriously.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the chairman then said that, I'll make a statement on this incident at the end of the day. So at 5 o'clock when the house was to be adjourned. And his statement was a one-line statement saying that the culprits have been apprehended and investigations will follow their due course. Again, there was no mention of any of these 2 points, that the culprits have been apprehended, which everybody knew, and that there will be an investigation, which was obviously the logical thing to do. If even that was not happening, then I don't know what else one would expect.
Right.
So, and one final point that I'd want to make is that the episode that happened in the Lok Sabha, what they are calling a security breach, and it's not some minor incident, as Karthi pointed out, as Dola Sen pointed out. What if that canister didn't have an inert gas, but some toxic gas? Clearly, that could also have happened because the security did not apprehend. There seems to be absolutely no protocol even for evacuation of MPs in case such a breach happens. When this happened, you saw all the MPs rushing in, beating up the two guys who jumped inside. The marshals were standing at some other corner and they came in later. And unfortunately, even the opposition, is trying to make this as some kind of very heroic gesture. Opposition members that they all got together and beat up those guys. I'm not condoning what happened, but there needs to be a protocol. What if he was carrying something else? What if he was carrying an arm
Absolutely. Yeah.
on his person?
Yeah.
You
And
know,
you, yeah,
there
yeah.
should have been a protocol to evacuate. And even after this happened, at the entry, at the gates of Parliament, you had members just standing there giving bites to TV channels and the media. There was just there has been no security drill. There seems to be no plan in place either of what to do. How to evacuate, how to shut down the Parliament if a security breach happens.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And there's a complete silence from BJP's end. Even I tried to speak to a number of BJP leaders, and all of them, declined from coming on the panel because I wanted somebody from BJP as well. Let me come to Pushparaj now. That Pushparaj from, BJP government from, if you see, in the last 9 years has been tom-tomming about its national security and how they are very careful, how they've ensured that there is no terrorist attack. Now, from the national security aspect, if we have incident, how would you really qualify what happened today?
Hi, Niluji. This is not just about the issues that the protesters raised or the security lapses within the parliament system. The BJP's propaganda machinery has, especially the not the formal machinery, has already gone on overdrive to focus on these two specific issues, both to deflect from the larger structural issues in this matter, and as well, to presumably make minor officials scapegoats on this incident. Now, since the attack on Parliament on 13 December 2001, Delhi and especially Parliament is always put on high alert during this time. For the last 22 years, this has been the practice. Now, this is partly because antisocial elements could pick this date to make a point. Now, this year also, there was a high alert. Despite that, multiple ingresses have been made, one outside the Parliament complex and one within the Parliament complex. Now, in my mind, there are two issues here. Firstly, and I suppose the investigation will reveal what has happened, what will happen. But whenever anyone visits Parliament, as Puneet has been saying, they don't even allow paper or ink because these can be thrown on the floor of the house. These are taken away. Mobile phones to dur ki baat. Now, how is it possible that people can get gas canisters inside without being detected? Now, remember, 836 crores have been spent on building this new Parliament building, which has the latest security equipment, including DFID scanners, and there's heavy manual frisking and so on and so forth. They have not just evaded that, they've cleared multiple rings in the new Parliament, jumped inside the floor, and then released gases. Now, do you really think that this is possible without the active collusion of people inside? And I'm not just referring to the BJP MP whose letter has given these people passes. No, it's much more than that. Secondly, and even more fundamentally, this was a failure of three agencies: the Delhi police, the Parliament security, and the intelligence apparatus. All three of them report to the Home Minister. Now, if one believes in the notion of command responsibility, which every institution in the world does, he is culpable and should resign, like Lal Bahadur Shastri once did when there was a railway accident, right? But there is even a more direct responsibility that the Home Minister bears, and no one has been able to pick this up so far. I'm very surprised about this. Now, in the last 9 years, anyone who's been closely observing the security apparatus of India will know and maybe they might not say it because they're scared, but they will know that the Home Minister has run India's security systems like a personal jagir. Appointments have been marked by favoritism, out-of-turn promotions, and unprecedented extensions. I'll just give you two examples which are relevant to this particular matter. The last two Delhi police commissioners were appointed for their personal loyalty to the BJP government. Neither of them served a single day in Delhi. Similarly, the Rajya Sabha Secretary General was also appointed outside the parliamentary services. He was an income tax commissioner. I mean, there's no prizes for guessing why he's got this coveted post. Now, the point I'm trying to make is professionalism and competence in the security services have been severely compromised by this micromanagement. And this has crippled our national security apparatus. I'm sorry, but the Home Minister must take moral responsibility and resign. And if he doesn't, then the Prime Minister must sack him. Anything less than that, and the BJP is basically admitting that the India's national security is a joke to them. And let us be absolutely clear, because there are some who will say, this is a minor infraction. It's not such a big deal. You know, some miscreants got in and did something, you know, out of turn. It's not. A parliament is the supreme symbol of a democracy, and we must treat this incident like that. I mean, as the TMC MP was saying, the BJP made a huge hue and cry and expelled an MP for allegedly giving someone a password. Here is their own MP giving someone a pass to parliament. Heads have to roll, and the buck does not just stop with the MP or the minor security officials. It goes, the responsibility for this goes all the way till the Home Minister.
So Puneet, what could be the larger goal of these trespassers? Why did they do this? I mean, were they wanting to be heard? Were they wanting to be seen on a day like this? And that's why, we do not know the motives as of now, but what does it look like if you look at the larger picture?
Well, I mean, it's not for any of us to be second guessing what drove these people to do what they did. And so I would not want to venture into that territory. But I would certainly say that at least from what they have, what statements, I think I've heard two of them. I don't know what the other two have said, but at least from what two of these people who've been detained said was that, and again, I'm saying this, I must qualify that this is not to condone what had happened. But I'm just making a point that what they spoke about was that their grievance. They were frustrated with the situation of unemployment. I believe one of the one lady who was apprehended spoke about Manipur. There were also statements about, I think, the general state of affairs with the country's economy and job losses and lack of employment opportunities, etc. Now, if I were to take that at face value and say that this is what drove them, again, not condoning what they did, but I would say that this is something that, in fact, the opposition and commentators, everybody has been talking about, that the government, by trying to cover up, its failures on these fronts and trying to show that everything is hunky-dory, there's no problem with the economy or with the way they're running this country, has put everyone on a tinderbox, has put this country on a tinderbox. This has happened. What if there's something more? That's one question that comes to mind. If you take what these people are saying at face value, whether there's a larger motive, of course, is for the investigating agencies to find out. So I wouldn't want to venture into just yet into what exactly drove them. What is there a nexus or what? I'm just saying, based on the comments that they have made so far to the press. And there is one more point that I would want to make, which is that you have a parliament building today where you're restricting entry of journalists. You've restricted the interactions that journalists could earlier, although not all, but a select group of journalists could earlier have with politicians, with MPs, former MPs in the Central Hall of Parliament. And yet you have elements such as these who are able to bypass every security protocol, enter Parliament and do what they did. And there are also, in fact, situations where you have a Parliament where you're not even allowing MPs to ask the kind of questions that they want to ask. There have been several instances where MPs have put forth questions for the question hour and not received a reply, because they've said that those questions that were asked were, the answers would be, giving the answers publicly would be against national interest. So, I mean, I don't really know what is going on with how this Parliament is how the government wants to run this particular parliament, and how even more puzzling is what's the role of the presiding officers of both houses in the affairs of the daily affairs of parliament.
Puneet has pointed out some very important things. And, I would want to come to you for the political questions.
Yep.
Now, what Dola had just mentioned about Mahua Moitra, and Puneet also mentioned about that.
True.
Then it also raises questions on how Amit Shah has been trying to, carry out his responsibilities.
Yeah.
There are calls for his resignation, as what Pushprat said, that as a moral responsibility, he should resign. Now, what are those political questions which will hound BJP now in the coming days? Because it does raise serious questions. And with the fact that BJP has been tom-tomming for the last 9 years that, look, there has been no security breach, and there has been no terrorist attack. So what are the kind of political questions which will be hounding BJP now in the days to come?
Yeah. See, Neelu, this could go, in two ways, in two directions. Essentially, this is a serious breach of security, as we all see, and I mean, it's there for us to see. And, nobody, including the BJP, can really deny that this is a serious breach of security. It's really odd that they haven't sort of come out with even a formal statement, and just perfunctory remarks have been made by the speaker and others. I mean, in fact, had it been the Congress or some other government, they would have tom-tommed, they would have gone to town, they would have hit the streets, they would have done whatnot. In fact, even sort of demanded the resignation of the PM, even demanded the resignation of the Home Minister, etc. So here is this absolute lack of response at their end is indeed, surprising. But then on the other end, I mean, because this is a government and this is a political party which has basically ridden to power on the the wings of muscular nationalism. You see, this whole thing that we are the only ones who can protect India and its citizens from all kinds of onslaughts, I mean, internal as well as external, right? They've gone to town about this. They have made hay on this issue, including the abrogation of Article 370, which has been this pretext, which has been the main grounds of protecting India's sovereignty and integrating JNK, on those grounds. And of course, I think everybody knows that Article 370 sort of predated the onset, of militancy in that region. So the connection between that and this is absolutely fudgy. So anyway, and the other thing, what this government has done, I mean, ever since it came to power in its first avatar in 2014 and continuing, has been a series of steps, towards again strengthening, national security, whether it's the use of UAPA against civilians, against the media, whether it's a cancellation of FCRA licenses, whether it's a PMLA, the use of the PMLA, the use of the central agencies, the use of the Information Technology Act, the various changes that were made in various in the IT Act to again in the name of sovereignty, to protect India's interests, and more surveillance. So we've seen all these things happen, in the name of national security. Again, constant monitoring in the social media. People can't say anything. People can't critique the government. Why? Because it's an issue of national security, right? And here you have something as brazen as this happening. So either, I mean, in fact, what I see can happen is that this government can go on an overdrive of strengthening India's national security and use it, as a pretext to further crack down on civil society and various institutions and organizations, saying that look, again, we are the only ones who can sort of protect you, and we are going to protect you, and this is not such a major major incident that has happened. Nobody was injured, nothing happened. Some people just entered the parliament, but then we have to do something about national security, right? And we are again the best ones to sort of and again to do with Mahua Moitra's instance also. I mean, this whole thing was based on the premise of national security again. And again, this hypothesis that her sharing of the password might have endangered national security. When here you have something that clearly and openly seems to have happened, right? So it can go, as I said, either way. But the accountability issue is important. Now, to what extent are they going to own responsibility for what has happened? Just by sort of giving the third degree to a few youngsters who have done this thing, and then to sort of concoct a story about and again, this urban Naxals things also, Nilu. This whole thing about we have controlled left-wing extremism, and that urban Naxals are out there to tear the country apart, asunder, and we are the only ones who have. So the use of all the laws and the strengthening of all laws and the use of draconian laws against ordinary people of this country, there is a certain frustration. I mean, again, the issues are there. I mean, so one really doesn't know whether, although the issues of unemployment are there. I think one of them was heard saying that, that his government has done nothing for us. We have been sort of pushed to the brink. Now these sentiments may be real. They are felt sentiments, and it also remains, Nilu, to be seen that people who protested. In fact, today holding protests has become difficult itself. I mean, in Jantar Mantar, you can't really go. You can't do it as you could do it before. I mean, again, it is in the name of national security, and and people who sort of protested for the bombing and the occupation of Palestine, they were not allowed to protest. I mean, there have been huge global protests all over the world. Even as we speak, they are happening. But in India, there was a constant clampdown by the government, in the heart of Delhi. So these things, so it can go the other end also. I would really be a little bit skeptical about the whole sort of timing of this, coming as it does, 4 months before, 4 or 5 months before the general elections are supposed to be held. So there is a lot to be thought about, I think.
Right.
Days, yeah.
As Pushpraj pointed out, I'm coming to you, Pushpraj, for the concluding comments. You did mention that December is a month where Delhi is already put on high alert. And few weeks, I think, or just few days ago, we had this threat coming from Gurpatwant Singh Pannu that, there'll be an attack on Parliament, things like that coming. Now, with this incident having happened today, do you think that this BJP's clamor on national security now really takes a huge beating, and how far can the opposition really take this issue forward?
See, Niluji, yeah, very briefly, Niluji. See, this is not an issue of political mudslinging or grandstanding. It really isn't. I've been saying this from morning. This is an issue of our national security. And we may say that Parliament has nothing to do with national security, and some people have been arguing on some shows, very unfortunately so, but it's not. This is entirely to do with our national security. Now, the BJP, I was just looking right now, which is why I was distracted. The BJP has quickly changed the rules, clamped down on visitors' entry to Parliament, said now MPs can only use the main gate. This is classic deflection. You focus on the inane and the symbolic, and you just completely forego the substantive. I keep reiterating, this is a failure by 3 security agencies: the Delhi police, the intelligence apparatus, and the parliamentary security agencies. Someone has to be held accountable, and it cannot be minor officials. This goes all the way to the very top, and this is not just an issue of moral responsibility. The Home Minister, the NSA, and the Prime Minister's office have micromanaged and interfered in the security apparatus. Everything has been run by a personal jaggi. We don't need to just hold them accountable as our government and our Prime Minister and our Home Minister, but we also need to get them to answer, not just answer, but do something tangible. Someone has to pay the price, and it can't be the BJP MP from Mysore. It can't be minor officials. The Home Minister and the Prime Minister need to talk about this. And the Vice President of India, I'm sorry, this is parliamentary privilege, I guess. But today he tried to say that the opposition is politicizing the issue. I'm sorry, this is a political issue. This is a grave political issue and concerns an attack on Indian democracy.
Absolutely.
And you can't be glib and obfuscate this issue. Absolutely no.
Right. Yeah, Rajalakshmi, you were raising your
hand.
hand.
No. I just see. As I see it pan out, I'm sure the youngsters are going to be those people, going to be apprehended. They have been apprehended, and there'll be I think due process, of interrogating them and extracting information from them is going to happen. But I still feel, that I think some of the things that they raised, some of the, because obviously they did not have, any kind of a weapon on their person. Because if it had been so, then it takes a different dimension, altogether. They raised some slogans. They made some, they maybe likened themselves, to Bhagat Singh, whatever it is. So I think there are some issues that also need to be reflected on.
There are
Yeah.
chances of UAPA being slapped on them. That's
Definitely, Nilu, definitely. They might do that
Quite
also.
obviously. Yeah.
Definitely, they will do that. But I'm saying that the issues that they raised, perhaps they also should evoke some interest in people, other than the fact that a breach has occurred and that the third degree ought to be given to them, and that the temple of democracy has been, after all, Parliament is there because people are there,
Yes.
people elect the parliament, and if they're and if they represent the Aam Aadmi, and if they have used that method to make a point of some sorts, I think that point and the issues behind that point should also be explored. I mean, I'm just placing it. I mean, one doesn't know as to why they did it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. But the biggest
Yeah.
question is that will the heads roll? There has been a serious security breach. Who will be held accountable? We do not know. Is it going to be Amit Shah? It looks very, very far-fetched from the pattern what we have seen in BJP. I'll have to wind up the program now. Thank you so much, Raj Lakshmi, Pushpraj, Puneet. Thank you so much for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.